Hello. So today I wanted to talk about fibromyalgia, dis-ease, and the Lotus method. So I did a poll on my YouTube channel, and I did have someone say that they wanted to hear or see more videos on healing the body. And so I just want to tell you about the Lotus method, which is my trademark method, where when I was a counselor in domestic violence shelters, I did start a process of this with the children with doing a cutout, just like a paper doll cutout, and playing with them and talking to them about where in their body that they felt any kind of discomfort, because most of them would talk about that and what they saw. And, as they're sitting there talking to me, I might point to the paper doll cutout and say, well, can you put on here where when you feel scared, where do you feel that here in your body? So part of it was from that, and part of it just came to me, as a knowing. And so I continued to explore this, and it came from my own path of having a diagnosis of fibromyalgia and healing, the chronic pain that I had in my body, the digestive disturbances in my body, high anxiety, panic attacks, and really understanding all of it. But in order to do that, I had to look into my body, and heal my past and my trauma. And I've learned so much more about that. And so when I do the Lotus method with my clients is I'm doing a guided visualization, and we are mapping out in the body where you're feeling energy stored, where you feel trauma stored. And I know that most people, when you hear that, if someone just said, well, where do you store your emotions in your body, might just go, what? And you may feel like you don't know where you store that trauma in your body. But when you are going through a guided visualization process, most people truly know, because these are symptoms that show up on a daily basis. Or when I say symptoms, I mean, stomach problems, digestive problems, sinus problems, allergies, joint pain, fibromyalgia, IBS, um, chronic fatigue, epilepsy, all of these things that our bodies are dealing with nowadays, chronic fatigue. And we always don't look at it as in terms of trauma, but truly, pretty much 100% of the planet has trauma, right? I don't think I've ever met a person that does not have trauma. And trauma is not the actual event, although that it's a horrific and horrible event at times. But the trauma is how you're processing, storing that trauma that makes it a trauma. And so one of the wonderful things with the Lotus method is it really brings presence into our life and an awareness of where we hold on to things and where energy is stored, where emotions are stored. And the greatest tool that I believe is when you have a life size body drawing, which is what typically I want people to find, but it is hard to find that, um, the roll of, the brown paper. And so the newsprint, I guess it's called. And so when I do this, I do ask people to, um, try to even just tape the poster board together big enough that it's able for you to be able to trace your body. Because the biggest part of this, I think, is the awareness and the attention that you learn and that you're placing on where in your body you're feeling this. So if you took a piece of paper and you drew out just, a silhouette of a body, and then you went from head to toe, and typically this is a guided visualization that I do with my clients, but if you're at home, there are ways to be able to map out the body and map out the dis-ease within your body to be able to bring awareness to where your symptoms lie in your body. And those are the keys. Those are the clues, the breadcrumbs that our body leaves for us, that there's something that needs attention brought to it. So I'm going to go through those steps and guide you through some ways that you can do this at home. So again, you are drawing out and mapping just a body drawing of a body, a silhouette. Um, as I said, with the kids in the shelter, we cut out a paper doll, and I mean, I'm no artist, so this is a rough copy of paper doll cutout. The bigger that you can get it, the best. If you were to find poster board, I'm in Canada, so Dollarama, the dollar store, the Looney store, they all have poster paper that's, you know, a dollar or under, I believe. And if you taped it together, and 10 squares of it, it should be big enough that you can draw an outline of your body. And then you post, and then you're going to put that up or put it on a table, and you're going to start to find a quiet place. And you are going to close your eyes, and you are going to begin to map out in your body where you're feeling any kind of pain, any kind of discomfort, any symptoms. To give you an example, I have a friend, and when my friend gets triggered, when she's triggered and her trauma is triggered, what happens is that she gets stuffed sinuses. So she doesn't have a cold, and I believe it. She doesn't get a runny nose. She just gets really dry sinuses and she feels stuffed up. And so that's a physical symptom within the body of how her trauma is triggered, and it triggers her sinuses to act up. So it's something where you'll know it, right? You know what I can tell you, okay, yeah, like, the top of my foot hurts, or I have back pain right now daily, or my jaw hurts, or you'll know. So you're going from head to toe, and you're going to just start mapping out in the body where you have those symptoms. And how you're doing that, first, I would say just go ahead and do that and just draw a dot so that you know. And and then the next step that I would take with that is to give that spot um, a physical appearance. So I ask my clients to either draw out an object or give it a color, but we're giving it physicality. We're turning it into matter now, not energy. We want it to be matter. So for instance, if I wake up every day and I have a headache in the back of my head, then and you're doing this session with me, I might say, well, is it sharp? Is it dull? Does it feel like, someone's banging on a drum constantly? Or is it lightning bolts shooting into your head? So for instance, if they say it feels like there's just like this constant pound on a drum, and it's a dull sensation, then what I might get them to do is draw the picture of a drum on in that spot. And then we move on to the next one. And maybe someone feels tightness in their chest often. They have anxiety. So sometimes with anxiety, it might feel extremely spacious. It might just feel like almost wind through your chest, or it might feel very constricted and tight, like there's an elephant sitting on your chest. So then I would say, go ahead and draw that elephant, or give it a color, or do both. For instance, that drum and that beat, it might not be red and sharp, but maybe I would color it this drum in and make it a black drum because it feels heavy and hard and solid, and it's like this constant boom, boom. And so then you would give it a color and a shape. And you do that the whole way through. And then when you have that up, then we go through the real work. And you can do this with yourself as well by going up to that headache, for instance. So the top of your head, maybe you're saying you get headaches and it feels like a drum and you see this big drum. And now I take you through a guided visualization, and you're going to try to sit in stillness and just try to think of, close your eyes, take some breaths, and think of when the headache started for you. And you go back to that time. Now, for some, maybe it's not in childhood, maybe it's last year, maybe it stems from 2020. So just think and go back to when that headache started to happen, when you started noticing the headaches start. Because I will guarantee you that the time when it started, there was also some sort of event at that time, whether it was you lost your job, you got demoted, your partner left, you realized something about your past, or someone in your family or anything like that. I will almost guarantee you that there will be an event that happened at that time, in that moment, that your headaches began. And you do this for all the way down. Now, this part, of course, I always say is better to do with a practitioner. So do this with me because, I guide you through those moments, because the thing of this is not going back and trying to fix it, because we don't want to fix it, um, because it's in the past. There's nothing about you that we have to fix. You're not broken. We just simply need to bring awareness to it so that we can, as an adult in a different space with a different mindset, with different tools to bring to the table now, that we can heal this event that happened and see it differently. Just, you don't even have to see it differently. You're accepting it. Okay, that happened. Okay. Um, and so you have someone to talk about and to take you through that process. But on your own, you can still go back to that time, and you just have this awareness on it. Okay, that happened. Wow, I see. I started getting headaches when. So that must have somehow affected me in a way where I started getting headaches. But that's over. I'm not there. I'm not in the past. Whatever event happened has been over for years, and so I don't need to go back there. But it really is that awareness that will start a healing process. It's even when I do intuitive readings for people, I always say to them, just having that reading in that moment has brought awareness to you. And whether it's not that it was so um, big or impactful or anything like that, but you'll go home or the next day, something will happen, like, just not bad, but just you'll look out your window and you see a bird land, and all of a sudden it triggers the reading, and you think about, "Oh, yeah, I remember when Joanne said this." Okay, and then you'll start to process that, and you'll make a choice or a decision at that time. It's that awareness that happens, and for when you have that awareness, things will shift because you have that awareness. So, okay, so then going through from head to toe and again mapping out the rest of symptoms and then or disease or any kind of anything that is within the body so that we can see where you're holding on to any kind of patterns, any energy, any trauma, any emotions, any physical symptoms. You're just mapping that out. And then you're going to take time, and whether it's a symptom or a spot, a day, you're going to start to just look at that and try to go back and discover when it first started, when this symptom appeared, because it will give you insight into the root cause of why that headache started happening, why the IBM or IBS started, why the fibromyalgia started. It will give you that insight into that. And so now you have um, awareness to the root cause of these symptoms. And so the other step now is you're putting that body drawing on the wall, and that's why I like doing this in newsprint is because it's very impactful to see the body drawing on the wall and to see the color and the object, to see a physical symptom. You might go and you see all of a sudden maybe someone has a stapler up in their ribs and you're looking at that. Wow. The other piece of it, though, is to give it an object because if something is energy, it's hard for people to shrink that. But when something is when it's matter, when it's an object, when you can physically see the object, the shape, the color, it's easier to visually and energetically shrink that symptom. And that's the next step is going from top to bottom, sitting, taking some deep breaths. You really want to be in a peaceful, calm place. You want to regulate your nervous system. You want to be calm. And then you want to have maybe some background music on. And then you're going to look at that object and you're going to, with your eyes closed, you're going to see that shrink. And typically I do this really quickly in my body when I feel, in my younger years, even with my menstrual cramps, I used to just visualize it shrinking and I would say shrink, heal. And so you're visualizing it's shrinking, and when you see it get really, really tiny, you can even just pick that off and blow it away. So visually, you are shrinking it. You're looking at these objects that are mapped out on the big piece of paper, and you found out where the root is, where the root cause came, looking at, still looking at, oh, you might even get something. I just want to, sorry, stop here just to say you might get, you know what, every time I'm in a crowd and there's a lot of people there and it's really noisy, I feel my energy scatter or I feel I'm drained. So that's the dis-ease that you're documenting. It could be something like that. And I have had clients come to me and say that they feel absolutely drained and they're exhausted and they can't find that motivation to get back to where they want to be. And so even just when you do this process, and you see, for instance, in that case, I would have that person draw a battery throughout their body because, and then with the picture of the battery, put a line at the very bottom so that they see this is my energy and it's drained. How do I bring that back up so that my energy is so that I have energy? And so it might be that they notice that when they're out in crowds, it just the white noise of a city drains them. And so they may not realize that, and then they may go, "Wow, okay, I understand that now, so guess what? I'm going to do my shopping early morning, first thing when a store opens, or the very last hour when a store closes, so that I'm not around a bunch of people, or I'm gonna avoid the malls, or I'm going to move out into the country and be, an hour from the city so that I don't experience that white noise and all that noise constantly bombarding my aura and my energy and my spirit." And so though it really is a powerful process, and I really encourage you guys to do that. I am going to leave a link in the description as well, where you can book a Lotus Method session with me if you do want someone to do this with you. And, just keep watch, because I will do this in person as well, in different cities. And I will also probably do it online for some people that, maybe are far away but would really like to have this happen. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it so far. Um, but so then when you do this visualization of looking at, because you've mapped it out, you have an aware of what the root cause is, where it's coming from, and now you're shrinking it and you're getting rid of it and you're healing it and you're just blowing it off. Now, typically that would be followed up with some sessions, right? More sessions if some people may need more communication around it, more talking around it, just to help organize their thoughts and that. But most of the time, I find that when people do this process, they're going to experience some relief, because again, we're not going in to fix something. We can't change the past, but we can change how we react to the past. We can accept it more, and accept, not even accept what happened, but just accept that we're in this place now. We're adults, and you know we know how to now heal ourselves, to set up boundaries, give ourselves what we need, and to be able to look at things with a different lens, so to speak. And so those are the steps of the Lotus Method. And those are the steps of things that you can at least start to do at home. And again, in the description, I'll post if you need to get where you can find me and where you can book a Lotus Method session. So I hope that this helps a little bit, and that it's given you some insight of some things that you can do at home to start to become aware of where you're holding on to trauma, stored emotions, where those stored emotions are in your body, and how you can start to release them. And I'd love to hear if you did this and how it worked. Okay, have a great day, everybody.